Amen. Good morning, everyone. I know at this particular moment this morning, from the conversation I heard as we were preparing for worship today, a lot of you feel joy this morning. There may also be feelings of exhaustion, feelings of stress, anxiety. All of those feelings are just continue to recycle themselves over and over again. You know, as I reflected over this week and I tried the best I could to come before you today with a word, I thought back to the last time we had an election that was 4 years ago, and what a difference 4 years can make. It was the Sunday after the election, 2016, when the country appeared to have suffered a great fracture. Now, divisions and controversy and people not getting along have been going on since the beginning of time. But this one felt to be living in it felt a little bit different. You see, back then I was still in seminary school serving at a church in DC, and just so happened that my Sunday was the second Sunday of every month, and this particular second Sunday fell after the election. Now, I wanted to defer to the priest there because I thought to myself, why me? With the heaviness that was going on, I didn't feel like I was the one who should stand before the congregation to bring them a word, to try to share with them good news when I didn't see a smile on many of the faces that were gathered there that Sunday. I still was sorting through my own emotions, trying to process what the next 4 years would be like. And while I had many friends who were weeping, there were others who were joyful that the person that they voted for won the election. I managed to get through that sermon, but if I can go back and add to that sermon that I gave to them to leave them with something to hold on to that day, which a lot of them thought was a dark day, I would go back and tell them to be encouraged. Fast forward 4 years, and what is going on now seems to be just the opposite of what I witnessed then. Those who were weeping tears of sorrow before are dancing with tears of joy and excitement. Yet there is still the other side, who are quietly trying to figure out how the next 4 years going forward would look like for them. You may even wonder, what's next? There was probably some doubt in your minds when you woke up on Wednesday morning. That's if you were able to go to sleep on Tuesday night. And as things began to look like they were shifting on Thursday, you might have been encouraged. Then Friday came and you may have felt just a little bit better. And then Saturday rolled around and there's a gospel song that kept running through my mind. And the name of the song is called Be Encouraged. You see, in the second verse, it said, hold on. Trouble don't last always. These trials are just a test of your faith. So stand strong and dry your weeping eyes, because joy comes in the morning and everything is going to be all right. That is what we can hold on to. We must continue to be encouraged. I have seen more posts on social media than I care to mention. I still see those on both sides who continue to show their support for wherever they stand. And even after most have projected that a new president will be selected, in the moment, I didn't feel like anybody won. Because what still is obvious and what can still be seen is that this is still a country, this is still a society, this is still a community where there's division. You may see the same thing. You may feel the same way. But I want to tell you this morning to be encouraged. What should be evident is that in spite of everything that's going on and how you may feel this morning, that there is still a lot of work to do and a long way to go. The last verse in our epistle reading today says, therefore, encourage one another. And so I want to encourage you this morning that God is still God and he has not forgotten about you. A new president being elected does not mean that there are not hard days ahead. We must still put our trust in the Lord and live our lives according to his will. We still must live lives that are pleasing to him. We are the ones that are to get out, to help start the work of healing our community, healing our nation. As hard as it may seem, I believe that there are many today who are still struggling to figure out, based on how they treated or supported the mistreatment of others, if it will somehow, some way come back on them. But I want to encourage you this morning not to take the low-hanging fruit. I encourage you to lean on the words of God and the examples and teachings of Jesus. Even in our gospel today, we have the story of the wise and the foolish bridesmaids. And we want to follow the example of the wise ones so that we will be able to make it into God's kingdom. We must be ready when he comes back, that our lives will be pleasing to him, not that we won't be ready when he returns. This right now is not a time to gloat. Looking to Jesus as our example, we must continue to do the work that is before us with humility and maybe even with a smile. The time for celebrating is once we have found a cure or a vaccine for COVID and cancer. When we no longer see homelessness increasing in our streets. When we no longer see children dying at the hands of gun violence. When we no longer see Black and brown people dying at the hands of police officers. Until then, we still have work to do. Justice does not end and begin with the presidential election. As long as there are disparities in our economy, we still have work to do. So my brothers and sisters, be encouraged. There's a story about two brothers who came home from school wearing an I voted sticker, and they had just voted for the first time in their elementary school mock election. And so as they came home, one was full of smiles and cheers, and the other brother went and sulked in a chair. And so the parent asked, hey, did y'all get a chance to vote today? One was, they both said, yeah, well, yes. And while one brother was excited, the other was clearly upset. He said, the person that I voted for didn't win. And so the parent asked the one who was looking defeated and dismayed, did you vote for what you believed in? And quietly, slowly, still thinking, he responded, yes. And the parent went on to ask him, were you willing to take a risk and stand up and vote for what mattered most to you? And he pulled his little sticker off and looked at it and said, I voted, and examined it and said, well, yes. And so the parent wanted to express to him that that's what's important, that you did what you felt was important. He was trying to encourage his son to not give up on the voting process. So today, close to half of the nation is going to relate to those feelings. Whether you win or you lose, losing is discouraging and disappointing. Again, many are celebrating the election results, and again, almost half are not. Yet no matter what side of the race that you've been on over these long months and seem like the last year, the truth remains that every time that we're willing to have a voice to take a stand for what we believe in, we win. We win when we trust that God is in control and we trust God with the results. The enemy is still at work more than ever during these times that he will continue to seek to divide believers and stir up strife, division, and hate. We must be wise not to fall into these traps. You see, whether it's election season or just daily life, we win when we do what God asks us to do. We win when we're willing to live wisely. We win every time we choose to obey his word to the very best of our own abilities. And there's great freedom there. Freedom from fear, worry, and defeat. Freedom from anger and hate. Nothing has taken God by surprise. He has a plan and is at work on behalf of his people for a time such as this. Our prayers matter. Our voices matter. And our actions matter. We can choose to move forward from here with grace. We can choose to stay involved, to have a voice, to be engaged, and maybe more than ever before, to make a difference, healing our nation. May we ever be faithful to pray for all those in authority, for the leaders of this country. May we continue to be brave enough to speak wisdom and discernment, and to live these days with hearts of compassion, hearts of love. May we be strong to follow God's voice, even when it's not the most popular choice in our culture. My brothers and sisters, be encouraged by the words of God. Be encouraged to continue to bring about God's justice for everyone. If we can do our part, he will do the rest. God's got this, and he's got us. He is powerful and able to do infinitely more than we could ever ask or imagine. We need to look no further than the history that was made on yesterday. How encouraging it is. You know, I love the way that Vice President-elect Kamala Harris put it last night. She said, dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourself in a way that others may not simply because they've never seen it. Again, God's got this. Let us lead with conviction, fostering relationships in a way that Jesus taught us to, leading with love. Let us take this opportunity to show our neighbors how to live together in unity. Now, this will push us out of our comfort zones and make some of us feel uncomfortable, maybe because some of us have never seen it or have forgotten how it feels. My brothers and sisters, the road ahead will be hard. But with God leading the way, our time here on earth looks a little bit brighter today. So again, be encouraged. Amen.